Hello, I am Aditi Kumar and welcome to another session related to generative AI. So it is specially foundational model. So from revolution perspective or innovation perspective, what is the history and what are the revolutions is specific to foundational model? We will discuss today. Let's start for today. So if I am talking about foundational model, so foundational model is I can say the fundamental model behind any generative AI model. So there are certain generative models is working as a foundational model in generative AI. So in our earlier sessions actually we already discussed generative AI tool or maybe system means it is a system, it is a ready-made system under which generative models are working as a core model which is known as foundational model. So if I am talking about foundational model, so foundational model is basically I can say general purpose here. General purpose means it is not specific to any language model because LLM is basically one popular term every day we are using. LLM is a type of foundational model. That doesn't mean that LLM is only the foundational model. Foundational model is specific to general purpose. It is a any type of generative model used within the generative AI system. So it is nothing but a machine learning model. It's a large scale machine learning model. Especially I can say this is a neural network based complex deep learning model, and it is basically trained on broad category of the data. The broad data I can categorization point of view, it's a broad amount of data which is it's a trained with a very big data, and it is also a fine tuned to work like a human to provide the efficient result. It is very fine tuned deep learning model or machine learning model. So basically, as I explained, foundational models are very general purpose. It can be used for a broader range of tasks. For example, I can say to use the content, to translate the language, or write the creative content. So this type of use cases, it is basically very generic. We can customize it according to our use cases, according to our problem statement. So this is basically the beauty of foundational model. This is basic definition of our foundational models. So if you will talk about types of the generative AI model, so it is nothing but a types of foundational models used within the generative AI system. Here actually we are going to discuss about the types of generative model means it's the type of or categorization of foundational models. Your revolution perspective or maybe our innovation perspective, how foundational models actually revolved. So the first point here is specially generative AI models is known as foundational models. I explained that, and which is used to create the variety range of data, variety array of range I can say content which is a different type of content, is text, is image, is code, video. It's not specific to language only. Language is a part. It can generate image, it can generate video, it can generate programming code. So these models actually can be customized in a specific domain. According to specific domain, we can basically customize this, because it is basically we can separate, we can I can say we can separate our foundational models according to our domain or domain specific or maybe working perspective, or maybe I can say training that particular foundational models perspective. We can divide this particular categorization, we can do the particular categorization. So here today I am going to present two categories, the task specific generative model and general generative AI model. So these two categories actually I wanted to highlight from innovation perspective. I want to give some spectrum or insights about the innovation happened for this type of generative models. How the generative models actually revolved is 2024 today or maybe in the past years. I want to give a insights what are the task specific generative models and how we revolved in general generative AI models, and we basically push our boundaries of task specific generative models so that actually it will have a I can say a complete picture in our plate, so that it will be very easy to understand because there are lots of confusion actually behind what is this model, what is that model, how it is related to generative AI. That's why I thought I will just create a complete path of this particular categorization so that it will be more easy to understand or capture all the points. So let's start for different categories, starting from task specific generative models. So task specific generative models means it is basically used to for a particular task, generating a particular task. I just kept like this. It's very simple in the first term. So under this particular category, I kept major four type of or four category of models. For type of models I can say. First one is very popular GAN. Always actually we are talking about generative adversarial network. This is a type of network which consists of a generator and a discriminator aiming to create a synthetic data reassembling the real data through adversarial training. This is the significance or maybe the characteristics of the generative adversarial network, which is a type of I can say coming under the category of task specific generative models. And second category here is diffusion model. These models actually excel at generating a new data by transforming a simple distribution into a complex one or enabling the creation of novel samples. This is the beauty of a diffusion model or maybe any I can say unique characteristics of a diffusion model. The third category, it is a variational autoencoder. It exactly integrates a autoencoder architecture with probabilistic modeling to generate a new sample from compressed data representation. Because different models actually characterize according to their unique characteristics, their behavior, their way of training, right? There are certain pros and cons specific to any model. We cannot say this model is always working proficiently. No, it's completely depends upon your data availability and your problem statement. Definitely, we will discuss in depth the mathematical intuition behind each and every type model later. But this is basically some introductory thing. And the last category, major category I can say is the flow model. Flow based models learn the dataset distribution and generate a new data. Is basically statistically resembling the original dataset through a sample or invertible transformations. It's basically majorly use the statistical technique, statistical resembling technique, the original dataset through sample and invertible transformations. Certain criteria, certain techniques it used. That's why it is basically categorized into a different category. So these are basically I can say is specific to a particular task, generating a particular content. But the thing is, today we are talking about multiple advanced thing, right? GPT, GPT-3, GPT-2. So there are certain third-party vendors also provided some generative models. So how they are related to these particular models? These are the basically foundational models. There are basically I can say some fundamental models used earlier. But how these are related to the models actually we are having currently, or if you go to the next category here, your general generative AI model. So because this is due to the availability of big data and our computational power or technique, whatever we are using for a task specific generative models, we push the boundaries so that our scope will be more, our data availability is more, and we will have a more scope to learn better and better and to behave like a human being. Gradually we are revolving that particular foundational model to provide a better content or accurate output to the maybe customer, or maybe to accurately solve our problem statement. So if you are talking about our generative AI models, general generative AI models, I kept it general generative models. So basically our generative pre-trained transformer from the GPT to basically or GPT models including GPT-4 demonstrate a significant advancement in the task specific neural language generation. So basically it is almost same as the our human performance or human behavior, human reaction on a particular task specific to natural language. And here the llama and plum 2, basically llama is provided by meta is a third party vendor or company, or plum 2 is provided by Google. So they created a large language model designed to various applications like maybe content moderation and leveraging extensive data sets for diverse tasks and ethical considerations. They did some customization, they did some advancement from their side. Again, these are the generative models. Because here we are putting some more computation, more advanced algorithm, or especially I can say some transformation based techniques. We are basically pre-trained, I can say pre-trained transformation means GPT. I can say this is the core model or modeling technique today. So which is basically a advancement over any task specific models which was being used earlier. If I are talking about last means it's basically Bloom, but Bloom is a test multiple languages, a bot is a showcases the bidirectional understanding of the textual data. These are basically some advancement, advanced generative AI models. I can say it's basically all are foundational model, all are foundational model. I can say foundational model. This is the revolution, innovation on the top of task specific model. So let's summarize into a pictorial manner. So this is basically my Gen AI system, which contains a modeling within it. If I am talking about modeling, this is foundational model, is a core concept, or foundational model is basically task specific. I cannot divide it. I can say this is the advancement of general Gen AI models. So if you are talking about here, basically GAN, your variational autoencoder, these are the models. In the top of that, or maybe based on these, we started building some pre-trained model, which is a transformer based model, which is basically a GPT based model, GPT to GPT-4, or maybe Bloom, LLM, llamas. These are basically the generative models actually, which is coming under general generative AI model, which is basically built on the top of task specific model. Because here our boundary was quite, I can say there is a certain boundary. We are able to create a particular task, but here our boundary is more. Now here, by using these foundational models, so it is working as a human being. It is basically the efficiency is almost the same as a human being, the performance point of view. So these are basically the starting from Gen AI system to our modeling. So these are the basically the path we followed. So I can from past era or past years to till date, these are the revolution actually happened with respect to foundational model. So again, the basically based on top of this particular generative AI also some advancement or some research is going on too, so that definitely we will have a better or maybe advanced foundational model tomorrow. But this is basically the complete picture how we started from generative AI system, and what are the basically the basic task specific models coming into the picture, and what are the generic or maybe say general generative AI models are categorized, or maybe what are the name of these particular models and how they are related to task specific. And on the top of the task specific, we started building these particular general Gen AI models. So these are basically the complete significance or maybe complete picture behind any I can say the foundational modeling in generative AI system. Thank you for watching this particular video, and I started basically this basic videos related to foundational model revolution. So later videos actually I will start with how the training will happen and how we will start building the particular model, or maybe any architecture behind any type of model, for example task specific or general Gen AI model, how the modeling will happen and how the model architecture will happen, then how what are the techniques, what are the effective techniques I can say we will adopt, or maybe we are using in the market today for training this particular model effectively. These are the things actually definitely we will cover related to generative AI, but this session was specific to how the revolution or innovation behind the foundational model happens. Please do subscribe my channel so that you will get notification whenever I am putting any new content related to this generative AI, or maybe any technology, for example artificial intelligence, our machine learning or mathematics. There also please put comment under any specific video so that I will have some idea about your expectation, and it will be definitely help me to build the new content later. Once again, thank you very much for watching this video.